Grand Island canceling its upcoming season, and given the timing just before the season, it's just a whirlwind. At what point, or can you kind of walk me through the timeline of maybe when the NSAA got involved or found out, and the coordination with the school and that element of it?
Yeah, so like on our end, I mean, Grand Island let us know, like I think it was either last night or this morning, just about that they weren't going to have a girls basketball team, and so on our end, basically, there's really not a whole lot for us to do or for them to do with us. They just kind of it was out of courtesy that they let us know that they weren't going to be able to have a girls basketball program this winter.
Okay, understood. So from the NSAA side, then, just as you're evaluating, participation numbers and seeing a Class A school not play its season, what's the reaction from your side? Because that's obviously disappointing for all involved.
Yeah, it is. I will tell you, we've been kind of monitoring our girls basketball numbers over the last few years, and we've seen a decline in participation numbers. And it can probably be pointed at a lot of things that everybody's kind of aware of club sports and specialization in sports. And so there's a lot of things that we could look at, but we're aware of it. We're aware of the numbers that are going down. I believe it was in 2022-23 school year. Omaha Bryan did the same thing with their girls basketball program where they were not able to play that year. So it's been something that we're aware of, and kind of trying to pinpoint the exact reasons on why it's happening is difficult right now because we don't know, and it's probably a lot of different things that are causing these numbers to go down. And I say that, but then I'm also going to talk about how good our girls basketball is when it is played, because we have some really good girls basketball players in our state that play the game. We just don't have the numbers right now that we would like.
And I think Brian even co-opted maybe with Buena Vista or something to, help the numbers. I know you guys aren't necessarily involved in that, but just seeing the decline, I guess, in the trend of that over the recent years, what have the conversations been like to not only obviously try to pinpoint the problem, but also promote, maybe an uptick and reverse that trend?
Yeah, so I know, like you mentioned, Omaha Bryan and Omaha Buena Vista are going to co-op this year so that kids have opportunities. And that's ultimately what we're about, is kids having opportunities to participate and play games. You get one time in your high school career to play whatever sport it is that you love, or sports that you love, or activities that we participate in. And so trying to find and make those opportunities. And so the NSA has the option of schools to do cooperative agreements, so that they can go with another school that if their numbers are declining. And in rural Nebraska, we see that happen quite a bit. It's new for a metro school or two metro schools in Omaha to have to do that. But this is not just a Nebraska problem either. I think this is something that we're seeing nationwide with declining girls basketball numbers.
Why do you think, or is there maybe a reason why it's, girls basketball in particular, at least here, with senior high, it hasn't necessarily been a successful program over the last few years? Do you think that like the wins, the losses play a part in it, or do you just think it's interest based? Or I mean, what are your thoughts there?
I mean, I suppose it could be both of those things. Everybody likes to win, and when you're not winning, it's real easy to not be a part of that. And so, and I think the interesting, I mean, Grand Island Senior High, they've got a pretty good volleyball program. They've got other girls' activities programs that are being successful. I think their girls' wrestling program has really taken off. I think the interest base, you have to be interested in basketball. Basketball's hard. You can't just show up and play basketball. You have to put time in. And again, I don't know all of the particulars with Grand Island Senior High. I do have daughters that play basketball, and I know the commitment level that it takes to play and be good at basketball. Just like every other sport that we have that we offer, you can't just show up and play volleyball or show up and wrestle. So I think kids' time is valuable to them, and when they do start specializing in sports and get pulled in certain directions, that it's real easy to stay in that direction and not go back towards the other one. And ultimately, people want to be successful in what they do. And so if you're not winning or you're not having that success, it might be easier to find a different avenue.
Sure. Well, from the NSAA perspective, is it concerning at all? Just the downward trend in participation numbers, not just in basketball, across the sports, is that concerning? But also for a Class A school like senior high, with the enrollment and the female enrollment numbers that they have, to not be able to, field a viable team at the upper class level.
Yeah, I mean, it is. I mean, we're seeing it. We had a football program that did the same thing here on the boys' side of things. So those things are concerning because we're about opportunities for kids. And, there's a school that's not going to be able to provide that varsity experience. I think they're still going to play lower level. So yeah, we're concerned about those things, and again, Grand Island Senior High is going to work through that, and this was the best solution that they came up with to do that, and hopefully it works for them, and that they're able to get back on their feet with their girls basketball program after 1 year, and go from there. But yeah, it is concerning. I mean, we see it happen. Our large schools are not immune to the same things that our small schools have with participation numbers. And so while they may have the amount of kids, more kids than what our smaller schools do, they're still struggling to get kids to participate in certain sports. And so we've seen it happen in a lot of small schools across the state. And now it's starting to happen in our larger schools, and they're not immune to those same issues.
Is that part of the conversation at all? I guess when the NSAA is maybe introducing, new sanctioned sports like the girls wrestling, maybe 3, 4 years ago, whenever that was introduced, were these like long-term concerns that you guys discussed, or are these maybe new developments that you didn't anticipate?
No, I think that was a conversation piece. So when girls wrestling got brought in, that our member schools are the ones that vote on those things, and so that conversation happened with our athletic administrators, our superintendents across the state. That was this going to negatively affect basketball? And I think that was a piece of it, that they talked that it could, because there are girls that would play basketball that didn't have the avenue or didn't want to wrestle against boys in their school, and so you're probably starting to see that a little bit. But again, girls wrestling has kind of taken off here, and so I don't want to put all the blame on girls wrestling, because they've done a great job. They've got great youth programs across the state, and so a lot of times, just like boys wrestling, those kids gravitate towards that sport at a young age, and so I don't know that that's totally to blame here. I think that's part of it, maybe where maybe one or two kids, but as a whole, girls wrestling has done really well for itself, and building from the ground up, and so. I think when our schools talk about the things that we add or put in, we're always looking at all of the negatives, I guess. And at that time when girls wrestling came in, we were still losing girls basketball players at that time. So it's not like that's a new phenomenon. And girls wrestling again has done a phenomenal job of growing, and it's going to continue to grow. And so basketball's got to figure some things out with the youth stuff. And there's a lot of club sports out there right now that kids are playing at a young age, and again, we try to promote multi-sport activity or athletics and activities, and so we want kids to participate in a lot of things. And so hopefully basketball can figure some things out, and hopefully Grand Island can start to get back on their feet after this year, and get some more kids out for basketball.
How long would you say the downward, or the downturn in participation numbers have been a trend in basketball specifically?
Yeah, I think when we looked the last time, it started to fall off maybe 6 or 7 years ago, where we really showed a decline. We keep track of that on our NSAA website. I haven't looked at it this year yet. We'll wait till these numbers come in for this year once we get all the eligibility lists in. But yeah, it's been something probably 6 or 7 years where we've seen a decline that has happened. And again, I don't know that that's just a Nebraska problem. I think it may be something that's nationwide.